The Seattle Seahawks have given clean bills of health to a few of their rookies. What's going on, everybody? Good Thursday morning. We've got some Seattle Seahawks news today. Not huge news, but good news nevertheless. It's the news that I was expecting to see today or tomorrow or maybe the next day, and it's the news that I wanted to see. It's, again, not the biggest deal in the world, but it is good news for a handful of Seahawks players. And then later in this video, we've got another thing to talk about that is also good news, actually. It's all good news. If you had to file it on one side of the line, it would be on the line of good news, I think. So first, let's talk about the direct Seattle Seahawks news. This is from Condota. Saw it a couple other places as well yesterday. 4 of the 6 players the Seahawks placed on the non-football injury list on Tuesday have now been taken off that list. Couple people have pointed this out, and they're correct. Quite frequently, a player will show up to camp and fail their physical, and then take the physical the next day and pass it. It's just one of those things where they needed to warm up, or maybe they were just having a bad day, who knows. But a lot of these guys, they're not really injured so much as they are just a little out of shape, and they need to kick it up a little bit and take it a little more seriously, and they're good. So who those players are, let's go over it. And remember, these are the rookies because the veterans haven't reported in yet. These are the 6 players that were initially placed on the non-football injury list, and these are the 4 players that passed. So Tyrone Broden, he's the receiver who's really, really fast and big but can't catch. You've got Isis Waxter, he's the cornerback that is actually pretty darn fun to watch, and a lot of people have their eye on him as a sleeper, a UDFA sleeper. Montori Foster, another wide receiver, and De'Eric Jackson, a linebacker. Those 4 guys all passed their physical. They're good to go, no problems, which means the only 2 players that remain on the NFI, which means probably this relates to an actual injury, would be Riley Mills, which we knew about because he tore his ACL not that long ago, and Zy Alexander, which we didn't necessarily know about. And this one's kind of a bummer because Zy Alexander had one of the best chances to make the team of any UDFA, and this obviously puts him behind the 8 ball that he is already behind because of the signing of Shaq Griffin. So the odds are now stacked against Zy Alexander. If he does indeed miss camp, he still has about a week to get right, but right now he remains on the list. So that's it here. None of this stuff is groundbreaking or earth-shattering or anything like that. Zy Alexander and Riley Mills, currently the only rookies on the NFI list. Not bad, given the fact that we knew Mills was going to start on it. And again, I want to stress, Torrey Horton looking like he's good. I think that's a big deal. It's this next thing that is probably a little more interesting because we've been talking about this a lot lately, and we finally got some movement here yesterday afternoon. Per Adam Schefter, 49ers second-round pick Alfred Collins signed his deal yesterday. 4 years, $10.3 million, with a little over $9 million guaranteed. Now, the important part of this whole sentence is second-round pick. Alfred Collins was a second-round pick of the Niners, and he has now signed, making him the 3rd of 32 second-round picks to actually sign. And he is the first one to sign without getting a fully guaranteed deal. And what this should do is trigger several other second-round signings to happen. Schefter even mentions that here. Now we have a template to go by. And it might not happen all at once, but this gives us a starting point for how these guys are going to get paid. And as we can see, it's not 100% guaranteed. It's just more guaranteed than before. And this is the 43rd overall pick, to be clear here. So 43rd overall pick gets 88% of his deal guaranteed. Now, Schefter mentions this is a big jump over last year's 43rd pick, who was Max Melton. He was the 43rd pick last year. And if you look at his contract, which was about 8.9 million with 6.9 guaranteed, if you do the math, about 78% of that contract was guaranteed. So goes from 78 to 88, so it's a significant jump, but it's not a fully guaranteed deal, and it should provide something of a starting point for negotiations from here on out. So what this means for the Seahawks and a lot of other teams is that you can kind of use this as a benchmark. So just as an example, Elijah Arroyo, our other second round pick, 50th overall, there's no way the 50th overall pick is getting a fully guaranteed deal if number 43 overall did not. So therefore, Elijah Arroyo should curb his enthusiasm a little bit and understand that he's going to do better than number 50 overall last year, but he cannot expect to do better than what a player that got picked ahead of him got. So expectations set. Based off of this, I don't want to get into exact numbers here, but it's going to be a little bit less than the 88%. If some other deals get signed, that's going to help provide a little more context, and it's going to probably provide some dots that you can kind of connect to get to what Arroyo's deal should be. Because remember, the amount of the deal and the length of the deal is not in question. Those things are ironclad set. This is just the guarantees. So if Alfred Collins gets 88% of his deal guaranteed and the 44th pick gets a deal where it's like 87%, and then it keeps ticking down with each pick, then you've got a window for Elijah Arroyo to fit into. And if he's not cool with that window, now he's the one who's being unreasonable. And as a team, you can look at this and say, hey, we got Noah Fant under contract right now. We got AJ Barner. We don't need to be messing around with somebody who needs to learn how this works, right? We cannot be messing around giving somebody more than what they have earned based off their draft slot. They have to get in here and earn more than that if that's what they want. So this flips things a little bit, and within the next couple days, we should have a much better idea on someone like Arroyo. We know it's going to be less than this, the 88%. Hard to know exactly what it could be. Maybe it's going to be like 80%, which is, I think, still more than last year. Maybe it'll be 85%, and all the picks in this range will kind of fall in this same tiny little slot. I'm not going to worry about it too much. The important part is we have a starting point. And in the coming couple of days, we will probably get more starting points. Now, the other side of this, Emin, that remains a little bit harder to put together. Because remember, the two guys right in front of Emin got fully guaranteed deals. Therefore, Emin has a pretty strong leg to stand on when he says, I want the fully guaranteed deal. And if this is the pattern where 43 gets 88% of his deal guaranteed, and even if you assume there's a little bit of like a cascading effect, what does that mean? Does that mean Emin gets like 98% guaranteed or 97%? At that point, what's the difference? Just give him the 100%. There's not an appreciable difference there. We're talking about a couple $100,000, maybe. Very unlikely, actually, that couple hundred even matters. So I would still punch it in there. I still don't see any way that doesn't happen. But we now have the Elijah Arroyo template. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks.